nigga die. Jesus. That shit was vulgar.
Ha!
Yo, what's good with
up?
you, my brother?
What's going on, bro?
Man, I'm out here cooling, man. Yo, this little asshole over here gonna be like, yo, you hella late on Gunna. You're right, I am late. But you know what, though? I don't really, I've never been a, you know, some people, they be like, I'm the first on everything. I'm not the first on a lot of things, but, you know what I mean? I love when anybody puts me on. I'm always accepting of the new shit.
See, I like that you're honest about that because, like, from my perspective, with working with labels and everything, it's kind of like we're trying to find out about rappers when they got 20,000 on Instagram because by the time they got 200,000, they're signing for $1 million. Like, the game is fucked up.
Yeah, by the time they get on my page, they're signed, bro. By the time they're on my page, they're signed.
You don't
You
really
get me?
have a use for dudes until they have a big enough fan base that people are going to watch videos about them, you know?
Of course. And, like, with me, a lot of times I'll watch an artist, though, but I won't start covering them till they get to a certain level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I think everybody's platform is different and also useful. Because your platform, really, you get the stain and credibility because you're going to give them that platform very early that when 3 years from now they're the biggest thing. Like, that X interview you did, like, people probably still, like, the people who are finding out about him now, they're like, damn, he doesn't do interviews. Let's go see if we can find an interview. They're going to find that.
But you know what's the craziest shit is how me and you could go get an interview or a piece of content with X or Pump or Takashi. None of them big websites can do that, really.
Hey, listen, I can keep telling you, man, and I told you when I met you, I said, listen, you know how many people are tight that you even got that J. Cole, and again, that might be outside the demographic, but that J. Cole conversation you got, a lot of people were like, why him? Yo, you got a new tattoo?
I heard about it. Yo, you like that? I got the little Peep tattoo.
Oh, shit. Damn, yeah, wait, like, how often do you get tattoos?
Bro, I haven't got tattooed that much in a long time, but I'm just finally starting to get back into it. The day I got my Atlantic deal, that's when I got the face tattoo for Peep. And I got Combat Jack down here, too. It says Combat.
Oh, shit. Well, at least you're doing better than Drake. That nigga just got random people on him. Like, everybody who DM'd him back, he's just fucking tattooed. Sade, he got Celine Dion. Shit, I think that nigga got Brittany Griner tattooed on him. But yo, the next time I come back to LA, right? We did a live stream together. That shit was so lit. But we have to do the official No Jumper Academics podcast, right?
The real interview.
And that's the real interview. I wanted to be all laid out. You know what? I'm a person who I like admiring across the island and I love seeing how you built your platform. Like, I was talking to somebody in terms of them trying to, like, get their thing off the ground. And they were trying to figure out, they're a social icon, and they're like, how do I kind of figure out a way to go? And I'm like, and I cited you. I said, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if he is cognizant of it, but when it comes to like vlogging is a thing in YouTube, but when it comes to hip hop vlogging, I think you kind of brought it to a different level where, like, you showed us a whole different side of, like, events or being around artists. And I told that person, I said, yo, you're always around artists instead of just, like, chilling, you know what I mean? Like, again, now some corny shit with a camera out, but do something like that. So I've admired your grind through the vlogging, of course, the podcast and other things. So
appreciate that, man.
You know what I mean?
You know, you put me on the realest shit when we did that live stream because you were like I was trying to tell you that I didn't think people were going to come for me super crazy because what I do in the industry is more like, yo, I just break younger talent. I do these in-depth conversations. I don't report on the news so much. You were like, no, they're coming for you. They're going to get you. Oh, man.
Man, right. I told you, Adam. And I hate to say I was right. Believe me, I don't want to say I was right.
You were right.
But
Well,
I hate to say, you know why? Because once you, like, you were teetering at that point, and you probably saw these little small hate cells that were, like, fostering, like, yo, we don't really like him, but none of them really had a big voice. And none of them were seemingly organized, where it's an organized takedown. Now, you know what I mean? You just announced your label. And by the way, before we get into that, I want to start with the positive stuff. You announced your label, a partnership with Atlantic. You dropped a song. The song is fire. I want to know how you got a TK verse, number one.
Street shit, you know? We out here in the streets. We got the TK verse. We got the Block Boy verse.
Like, I mean, why Atlantic though? Because you know Atlantic 2 gets a lot of shit for a lot of different reasons.
I mean, I had a lot of different offers from a lot of different people, but at the end of the day, I like that. I liked Atlanta because they seem to understand where I'm at. That I'm more focused on running my YouTube channel and making content and everything. But then they also like, they saw the potential. They saw what I had built, and they just seemed like they understood me. And then on a personal level too, it was just like people that I got along with real good and everything. So I don't know. To me, it's like it was an easy choice, but at the same time, a lot of other labels have hit me up more recently because they're thinking that Atlantic's going to drop me, so they're like, "Yo, we might have to chill for a couple months because you're hot right now, but maybe we could come and like figure something out in a little bit." So
Hey,
now, I don't know if Atlantic got pussyfooted and decided to drop out. Hey,
I could tell you, and by the way, I want to give you credit. You know what I mean? I do believe in this whole thing, and you know what I mean. I consider you a brother because I feel like we're fighting the same fight.
appreciate that.
And I remember having a conversation with you. I think your business mind is terrific. You know what I mean? I think sometimes, like, you know what I mean? I don't think business minded just because you see a lot coming in and you're like, I don't have to be too focused on certain shit. But like you mentioned to me, like way before, like, hey, labels would be interested in like influencers and tastemakers and want to do these things or whatever. And I remember having that conversation with you and I was like, really? And then it came to fruition that a lot of those same labels that probably hit you up, they hit me up too. You get
That's
me?
what I kept telling people. I kept saying like, "Yo, I feel like if I'm going to get a label, the Academics is probably going to get a label soon too." And then, like some people were telling me I was crazy. They were like, "Nah, because it's different." He talks about the news, and you're doing the breaking your artist, blah blah blah. I'm like, "Nah." Like Academics still, he knows what he's looking at when he sees a new rapper. I feel like you have a lot to offer in that regard as well.
Hey, you know what's so funny? Because right now, what you're going through, right? And I think, I guess we should just dive into it.
Mm.
I've had a meeting with a label, and they said, we fuck with you. But you a little controversial, and also, we've gotten some shit by linking up with some people that we don't know, like, they're like the wild card. So we'll do it on some low shit, but we not about to make no big announcement like, yo, this is the academic chat nigga records. You know what I mean? We'll do it on the low. And I kind of looked at that and I was like, you know what? I do want someone, if you going to back me, don't back me when it's convenient, but as soon as I'm getting killed on Twitter, you're probably like, oh shit, fuck that, I'm out. You got to rock with me. So,
You got to explain to him beforehand. Like I had this conversation with Atlantic beforehand, where I was like, "Bro, I've been putting my whole life on the internet since I was a teenager, you know? So there's all kinds of weird shit that in retrospect, in without context, looks weird as fuck because I was talking about, my sex life when I was 19 on random ass forums and shit that people have managed to
yo,
dig
how
up.
did people find that shit?
Yo, your guess is good as mine because there was a lot of forums I used to be fucking around on back in the day that definitely aren't online anymore. So you could probably never find the shit that we used
Did
to
you
talk
always
about.
have Adam22 as like your username? Maybe that's how they found it.
Not always, but a lot of the time.
Oh, you should have like Adam69 or something, bro. You probably been doing better. Well, okay,
I've
but
seen
yo,
that joke.
but yo, listen, check it out. So let's get into a couple of these things because I've
Okay.
been seeing them kind of flow into my timeline, and I've been kind of like searching here and there, and I'm seeing a lot of shit. So one of the first things I saw was like, yo, you know, Adam don't like black people, right? And that conversation usually gets like a link to an article that don't exist no more, but it's like, yo, he talked about beating up some black people before,
Hmm.
and I read it and I was like, I don't know if this early form of trolling. I don't really know what's up with it. I'm just let you speak about it.
All right, let me just explain the scenario. It's basically me and a bunch of my friends of varying races. Like we were in San Diego, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was at a time where I was basically like trying to just write blog posts where I was just writing about all the crazy shit that would happen in my life, whether it was fights or stuff with girls or whatever. And so basically, like we were riding at this ledge spot in San Diego. There's like five black dudes who are all just chilling, and one of my friends started like talking to him. I don't remember exactly what happened, but basically like they weren't feeling him because he was acting like a fool or whatever. So they basically like attacked us. Like all of a sudden we're in this huge brawl with these five dudes. And when I posted it, I said they were homeless. In retrospect, I mean they were these were serious dudes because they started screaming some shit about cripping. It was an intense moment. Like they pulled out knives on us, all this kind of crazy shit. So basically, we got in a big ass fight. They tried to steal our video camera, all this shit. We ended up like, doing all right in the fight and everything, but then like they, nobody got real hurt or anything, and then we had to like kind of dip off and get out of there because this is their area, and they were like calling for backup and shit like that. So there wasn't any sort of like racist sentiment in that blog article, but when I posted it, because I was like, some random fucking dude, and I didn't know who the fuck was gonna look at this or whatever, I should have called it "We got in a fight with homeless people," but instead I ended up titling it "We beat up black people" because of the fact that all of us were all in agreement that none of us had ever punched a black dude before, and that it felt mad racist and weird. Like it was basically, it was like a clickbait type title, but this was like 2008 or some shit when I wrote it. So in, out of context with me coming around, like at the time I was just a BMX kid, I was like a fucking random ass kid. And then now you look at my position and stuff where I'm working with black people constantly and stuff. Obviously people see me with black people all the time. There's like, I've never been a racist person. Like, and even when I was a kid, I didn't have racist parents. My parents raised me to
Hold on one second.
like that at all.
And by the way, I've watched your response video, and also like I get what you're saying. So you were definitely clickbaiting, right?
Yeah.
You're clickbaiting. In you guys' minds, like, damn, it kind of felt racist that we hit these black guys, and you title it "We beat a black guy." Now, some people say it's more than that because it was supposedly on a website where a lot of people were racist. So I guess they were saying by association. That's what, like, you were playing into what the entire audience of that forum was.
I never, it wasn't even on a forum. It was like my own blog. Like, remember everybody used to have their own blog where they would just write about shit. It was like I had a little blog.
Yeah, you had a Tumblr?
I mean, it wasn't a Tumblr, but it was like a Tumblr. It was like the kind of thing that if I had started it like 2-3 years later, I probably would have just made a Tumblr. So, yeah, but it wasn't like a racist blogging thing. I've never been a part of anything like that. I used to post on like a hardcore message board that was about hardcore music, but even then, I mean, it was never like a racist. You couldn't get away with saying something racist on there. And keep this in mind. I posted that blog article on this forum back in the day, and nobody said shit because if you read it, it was obvious that it wasn't actually anything racist about it. It was just some crazy story about how we got in a fight with a bunch of fucking, I said homeless people at the time. I kind of regret that because in retrospect, I think that they were just street dudes, maybe.
You know why I think people, and I do believe some of the stuff that's coming out now is people already having a thinking about you, and they're piecing things together to kind of shoring up their narrative, right? Yeah. Like I think a lot of people are saying, look at this guy, right? He doesn't look like the prototypical hip hop lover, right? And he's the guy. You've heard this narrative before because I have. He's the guy helping ruin this shit. He's introducing all the people we hate. Also, keep in mind he comes from a BMX background. And even though you might have, and I've heard you speak about hip hop, you seem like you're not just a guy who started listening a couple years ago. You've been fucking with it, but
I've been in this shit.
It helps paint the narrative to say, yo, you know what? This is a culture vulture, man. He just came over from the BMX shit because he saw it was easy money. He could manipulate some black dudes, and he used to be racist in the past.
Yeah, nah, I've never been that kind of person because, like, if you think about it, even when I moved to New York when I was 19. I only hung out with black people because, like, the BMX scene in New York at that time was all black kids, Puerto Rican kids, Mexican kids, whatever. Like, I never have been that kind of person that was, like, let's just clear that the fuck up, is that I was never hanging out with racist people. I was never in any kind of, like, I would never, even back then when I was a kid, I remember when I was 19, I got in a fight in college, my second year of college, because the white kid that I was living with said the N-word about me. I made a video about talking about it, but he kept saying the N-word around me. I got real pissed off. We ended up getting a huge fight, shit like that. Like, I've never been the kind of person that was okay with racism or whatever. And that blog post, speaking to a very small audience at that time, didn't seem like a big deal. Now, all of a sudden, people see it and they're like, like, fucks them up.
I do believe, and even bigger than the blog post, I think people see you, people see like Lil Xan, and I'm not defending anything Lil Xan said, but I think you guys get a tougher time because people are looking at you guys like, man, these guys don't look like what we expect the rappers or the critics or the tastemakers of hip hop. Like, do you kind of feel like for example, right? Do you kind of feel like you have to surround yourself with people who might fit that just to kind of, like, warm up to those people? Or do you say, fuck it, man, I am who I am and If you can't like it, whatever.
Nah, I mean, because I still like to this day, if you were to come into the back of my shop, you got white kids with long hair who look like they're, going to be going doing some streetwear catalog. And then you got, like I hang out with Desto Dub, who's like Lil Pump's hype man on tour and stuff. Like that's one of my best friends that I hang out with like multiple times a week. I mean, and not to mention that on top of that, like, I'm hanging out with like a lot of the guys I hang out with are like people always say Adam22 only hangs out with 18-year-olds. I hang out with a lot of like 30-plus-year-old dudes who basically like have been through the whole gang thing and everything and are just smart ass dudes who I get along with them because, they know the streets and they know the rap industry and stuff like that. Like I got to shout out my man TK. He's the manager for Shoreline Mafia and Draco and Greedo and stuff. And he's like, that's one of my best friends and one of my biggest mentors. And, that's like, I've never been the kind of person that looks at who I'm hanging out with and bases it on, their skin color or anything like that. Like that doesn't even register to me.
Okay. Do you and again, I'm throwing out stuff that I'm believing this is why people are coming with this hate and vitriol. Of course, it's only coming because you're now with the label. You got a song out that's cracking. People are seeing that you have some mainstream attention and cosign. So they're throwing the kitchen sink at you to get you the fuck out of here and get you back to your niche audience, right? So, like, do you ever feel like, oh shit, when people criticize you, like, yo, you're like super older and you're hanging out with 18-year-olds or whatever, do you feel like for me, it's not a problem because I think age in hip hop is about mentality, not really your actual age. But do you feel pressured by them to be like, you know what, let me get some more people who are around me that are older or whatever?
Nah, I mean, like, I hang out with a lot of older people, just like my cameraman, aka, like, he's been my best friend for like 10 years. This dude, Chris Long. I mean, he's a 35-year-old white guy. I get along with him because we got a very similar, like, life experience. He's from around where I'm from and everything. And then when I'm talking about this dude, TK, he won't tell us how old he is, but he's definitely at least in his 40s and stuff. And, those kind of people I have, like, good relationships with because, they're smart. They've been around the block. They have that kind of knowledge. When people say, like, oh, you're hanging out with 18-year-olds, usually if I'm hanging out with an 18-year-old, it's because, I'm just meeting them, like, when it comes to rappers and stuff, in my store. I run a BMX store, so it's a very young audience. And then on top of that, it's like, I hang out with, like, these young rappers to do interviews, to do content, because I'm trying to give them opportunities through No Jumper. It's like, like, I remember back, like, not a year ago, 6 months ago, like, YBN Namir invited me to his house party. And I was just like, nah, like,
I could imagine who was there, man. I could imagine who was there.
It was just too, it's like, that's a little too sketchy, especially with all these eyeballs on me. It's like, you're 17. It's like, maybe, God, I'm trying to like leave myself out of scenarios that are going to look sus, especially in something like that. So like, now Amir, I consider him my friend, but what's our relationship? How much have we hung out? Like, he'll come into the shop. He'll call me up when he's around, when he's walking down Melrose. We'll kick it, smoke blunts, whatever, for 20, 30 minutes, hang out. And then, like, it's not like I'm going to, all right, maybe I'll go to the studio. I'll go meet up with Namir in the studio. But, I mean, I keep a line between it, especially because I'm just focused on working. It's like I'm not sitting around hanging out all day. But I do run a BMX shop, too. So it's like it's a young audience.
Yeah, you got to interact with the people. You can't act like you're above them. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the big thing now, and I've been seeing this so much on my timeline, and we need full information, full detail.
Let's go.
It's basically, I think it's a description of an incident where you were in conversation with a young woman when you were younger, but she was underage. And a lot of people are saying you had sex with her underage and doxed her and exposed her picture, whatever. Just give us your side. And I mean, I have a couple questions. I'll probably have a couple questions as you go ahead.
Let's talk about it. All right. So there's one very specific, and I appreciate my fans and stuff who like to correct people on Twitter about this, but there's one very specific thing that I wrote on my blog back in the day where I was basically telling this story about this girl I met. I was basically seeing her for about like 3 months at a certain point, but like 3 years before that, we had both been on this message board, right? And she was always on there. She was always posting like pictures of herself and just talking to different people on there and everything like that. And I mean, there were not a lot of girls on this message board, and she was attractive. So she starts talking to me on MySpace, shit like this. Finally, we get on the phone. We talk for a little bit longer, and then she hits me with it. I'm 16. At this time, I was like 20, 21. Yeah. I'm like, you just fucked me up because I can't keep talking to you. Like even at that time, I was like, it's just that's too much of a big age difference. Like I can't fuck with that. Like it's looked down upon in America or illegal. And she was kind of upset that whatever. But I didn't talk to her for 3 years after that. And I seen a few people try to be like, oh, you were waiting out the 3 years. It's like no, I didn't talk to her for 3 years because
You're
I got
a red
a
shirt.
girlfriend.
Hold on. And you're gonna have to correct me because like I've seen so much stuff. My sequence is probably out of order. Is this the same? Because I think in the blog post that I saw, and of course it's a popular joke now, but I think people are judging you because of the joke. I think it was something like, yo, if she's 16, I'm 16 or something like that.
Yeah, I had a quote where I made a joke about statutory rape, and I said, basically I said, if it's wrong, I didn't want to be right. But the thing is that I then proceeded to do the right thing. I was very much like, because I was feeling her before I realized that there was this huge age difference, and then I had to be like, nah, I can't fuck with you. But yeah, that was like the joke that I was making at the time. At the time, it seemed fine because it's like, oh, you could just joke around about shit like this. Obviously, me being 34 now, it doesn't seem that funny. But people, and I also just want to say this blog that I had up, I had it online for about a year. And then I deleted all the shit, like the stuff about her and everything. I just deleted it, like, because it felt kind of sus. I didn't want to have it online. But anyway, like, I want that to be the biggest thing I clear up on here is when people are like, oh, like, that's a common thing I see is he traveled to Canada to sleep with a 16-year-old.
So did you meet her? Did you meet her at all when she was 16?
No. I didn't meet her until I was 19 because I had this business meeting with this company in Vancouver, right? So I was like, damn, all right. Like I hit her up. I hadn't talked to her in 3 years. She's like, yeah, you can stay with me, all this shit. So I just went there and I stayed with her. Once she was 19. Again, okay. Once she was 19.
Okay, so people are believing that you slept with her at 16, but you didn't. You never saw her until she was 19.
I never even met her. And that's actually the crazy shit is that she put out a statement and said that me and her began our sexual relationship when she was 16, which is like...
Is this the Desiree girl? This is her, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because she got emails on top of emails.
She does?
No, well, I'm seeing emails that look like she was writing to someone who was trying to expose. I don't know what this is.
Probably, but she, I have emails too. Like there was only like a certain number of a certain percentage of our communication that was via email. Most of it was probably via like text back in the day that I certainly don't have access to. But yeah, I want to clear up that part first of all. Is that I didn't even meet her until she was 19. So when she says that we began our sexual relationship at 16 or something. Fuck out of here is absolutely 100% false. And if she's lying about that, what else is she lying about? That's all I'm saying.
All right. So I have like I guess this is from 2010. I guess did you email her back in 2010? Because I think that's what I'm seeing. A thread.
You're on my page?
I'm on some Twitter. Like there's like a bunch of Twitters just like fully aimed to expose you or some shit. They have all type of shit blacked out and they have whatever.
So what are you looking at?
I'll pop it up on my screen, even though I don't know if you can see it.
I can't, but I guess I can open it up.
It starts with the email that she's like may have sent to you, and it says, "If you're gonna take the time to write our story, you might as well write it. You might as well have written it properly and factually." Okay, and I just want to go through it just one by one. For you to respond to each of them because I want people to be like, oh, you and Adam are cool, so you just let him come on here and just say whatever.
I just want to explain that like the reason why I posted this email is because
posted this.
I posted this because this is after I wrote the blog article where I was talking about our relationship and everything because it was an actual relationship. Like it wasn't, we were really feeling each other. We never really got to the point of like boyfriend, girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. But we were definitely, months and months of like us like basically talking to each other every day, saying I love you, all this shit. And so when she comes out and says that I was abusing her and raping her and all this crazy shit, it's like the reason why I posted that email was just to say this is her correcting my blog post. Like these were all the things that she thought were wrong about that blog post. Notice that she's correcting stuff like the dates. She's not correct. She's not saying, oh, you beat me, blah, 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 because none of that shit ever fucking happened. I never laid a hand on her. We never had a sexual experience that was anything besides consensual. And it's just it's so baffling to see people really, really buy into this. And let me just explain that what's happening and what they've done and what it's pretty clever is that they've taken the fact that I was talking openly on forums when I was 19, and then they combine that with this girl saying I raped her now, and they're like, look at this and look at this side by side. It's like easy for people to be like, oh, he's a scumbag, but the truth is that this allegation came out like a week ago. This rape thing, I never heard about this until a week ago.
Yeah.
And so
the same girl that was correcting your blog post, right? And I have the blog post and I put it on the screen briefly. She did not say anything while correcting a blog post that you raped her then. Now she's saying.
But I'm just telling people to look at the tone of that email and maybe the other email that I posted as well. It's like, she was not angry at me. She was not, there was nothing in any of this communication to indicate that there was ever anything that was inappropriate about the time that we spent together.
Okay. All right. So why do you think she's now coming out and changing the story or adding this to it? Do you and this is an objective question, do you feel like she might have felt all these things then but didn't say it for whatever reason?
I mean, I think that basically, like, a lot of people like to throw out the term clout chasing about what she's doing and everything, and I've seen a lot of people get offended by that and say, like, girls never get clout off of a rape accusation, which I think that's mostly true. Like, I don't think girls for the most part do this shit because they're just trying to get famous or anything. I think that she legitimately hates me at this point because of the fact that I at one point wrote about our relationship in depth, and that she's just basically willing to do anything to try to take me down at this point. Like, she just is like, oh, and, it didn't come around till the Atlantic thing came out, and then she saw that, and it's like she knew that the original, like, the truth would be like, oh, if she was telling the truth, she would say, he wrote about our relationship and I didn't like it and that was fucked up, and she would be calling me out for that. But there's no use in her calling me out for that because there's nothing illegal about that or whatever. So instead, what she do, she adds every single thing in the books. Sorry, she adds in the rape, the sexual or the abuse, the doxing. The doxing thing is super funny too.
Did you post her underage nudes? Because I see that a bunch, or I see the accusation that you did.
It's so crazy because what she's not including in this whole thing is that she was posting photos of herself on this message board on MySpace, blah, blah, blah. Number one, I never posted nudes of her. The closest thing is that I posted a photo of her one time where she had her hand, like, it was like a modeling photo, and she had her hand, like, wrapped around her nipples so you couldn't see anything.
Was she underage?
I honestly don't know if she was underage, but I do know that the only reason I had that photo was because she posted that photo on this message board, and that's the only reason I had ever even seen it. So the idea that and I get it from her perspective that she's like, oh, I'm going to say that he leaked my underage nudes. It sounds terrible. It's bad enough for a lot of people to write me off just on the basis of that accusation. But you got to remember that this is just not true. Like, she was posting all this crazy shit. You remember that website, Is Anyone Up?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm by no means co-signing what they did or whatever. They were just all about posting, like, revenge porn. That was, like, the first revenge porn site. But she was all over that site, like, fucking crazy. Like, her photos were all over the internet. The idea that I leaked it or I doxed her, nah, bro.
All right. So again, I'm gonna read this because apparently, again, I'm just to be clear to you, everybody watching, whether they're your fans or a hater or someone who just don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm really lobbing all these accusations and allegations that you could respond to them because it's a lot, and also I want to be fair, right? I don't want to just basically say, listen, everybody's cloud chasing, you never did anything, blah blah. Because some of them, they're saying, hey, listen, well, we're only looking at your words from back then. So I guess this is from a blog post. Again, I'm not too sure which one because it's just a screenshot on Twitter at this point. But it was a it's a part of something it seems that you wrote that you said. Now, any of the math inclined out there are probably reading this and thinking something like, she's 19 now, you were 23 then, how old was she then? Then it continues, well, she was 16, but come on, man, look at her. She's 18 or 19 in most of the pics here, but she didn't look much different at all then.
So... yeah, and you're going to do the banger quote right here, right?
Yeah, and then if statutory rape is wrong, I didn't want to be right. That's what it said.
Okay, this is the thing about that is if you read the two paragraphs after that, actually, I think I have them right here.
Okay, go ahead.
The paragraphs after that, I said, where is it? Do I have it? I might not have it. Anyway, the thing I said after that, that was me just basically describing the scenario where she got me on the phone and then she told me her real age. You know? Like
Okay.
that's what I was speaking about. It's like I even at that age, I was not trying to hang out with this girl at that age. Like I had no idea until she told me. And the reason why I didn't think that she was underage was because I knew multiple other dudes who had done this, that, and the other thing with her, like in their bands on tour and shit like that. So I had no idea that these dudes were running around breaking the law. And once I found out, I was like, no, I got to fall back. I can't.
Well, I think also the sequence of events too, right? So the next line, right? It said, "Now I could make the argument that age of consent is 16 in Canada, although I'm sure if traveling from America to Canada to have sex with a minor is illegal as hell. But really, fucking argument. She was stupid hot, and I wanted it. So wait, was it just like kind of imagining, or like basically you're hypothesizing what could have happened, or like you're just kind of thinking what could have happened, or you're basically saying, I wanted to do this.
I mean, when I wrote that blog post, I didn't want to do it. As soon as I found out, I was out. But I'm gonna read you the following paragraph from that thing.
Okay.
Unfortunate. This is what I wrote. Unfortunately, I was also in talks with another girl at the time, and soon things with her became exclusive. I dated her for 2 years. I didn't talk to Desiree during that time. I was trying, da da da. Anyway, fast forward to spring of 2009. I had been single for almost a year after a messy breakup with her. I saw Desiree's profile on Facebook. I added her, blah, blah, blah. So in conclusion, like what I actually wrote in that blog post is it was and when I look at it now, it's like, why was I joking around about statutory rape? Because at the time, I didn't think anybody was looking at this shit. I didn't think it was that big a deal. But the truth is that was just me describing how I then stopped talking to her because of the fact that she was young.
Okay. And I understand your explanation. So then I would say, do you understand, right? Beyond, of course, there's gonna be some clout chasing here. We get it, right? But do you understand why people have that critical eye on you? Just reading what you said, right? Of course, the explanation's there, but like in the actual text, it said like it was illegal, or it probably was illegal, but I wanted it. Now, again, you said you didn't think no one was watching, and you
not nobody, but I had a very small audience at that time,
Exactly. So, but do you understand why people are like saying, "Oh, what the fuck? This is wrong."
I understand, but here's the thing: is that there's certain people who are willingly misrepresenting the facts, because if they had actually read this full blog post, they would know that it was a story about me hanging out with her, and it was, the intro to the story is me mentioning that, when I first, this one time I talked to her on the phone, but then I didn't talk to her for 3 years.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's some people are misrepresenting it on purpose, but then a lot of people are just falling for it because they see that little screenshot and they think that that's actually what happened. Okay. In reality, I'm gonna say it again, and this is like, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. I didn't meet her till she was 19. I met her mom, I stayed with her for a few days, all this shit. Like, she's driving me around. Like, it wasn't like.
And by the way, she hasn't denied that you only met her at 19, right?
She kind of has, because she put out this statement that you might not have access to right now, and I'm not even gonna tell you where to look to find it, but she put out something saying we began our sexual relationship at 16. It's like, no. We had one conversation when you were 16, and then Adam22 dipped out of that conversation because he realized that speaking to her was, inappropriate.
Yeah. So some people are saying also it's not. Oh, okay. I think I see it. Is this what it is? Okay, so some people are saying that it's not clout chasing though, because she said this earlier, just no one cared until I guess now. I guess since you're in this position and people are interested in whatever you've done before in the past, now they care.
No, to my knowledge, she never. I don't think over. And we got cool at one point. I think it was probably like, I have some emails from like 2012. Where, because I hit her up at one point, I was like, yo, I'm going to delete the blog. I deleted it.
Was she pissed off about it or something?
She was annoyed that I wrote about it, yeah.
Okay. So do you think this may be like, if you're saying that her allegation that you raped her or whatever, is not true, do you think that because of her being pissed off that you may have invaded her privacy by publicizing it, she might be like, you know what? Well, shit, you publicized it without me wanting you to publicize it. Maybe I'll embellish the truth a little bit on actually what happened.
That's exactly what's happening. Is like she read, she was annoyed that I wrote this thing about her at the time or whatever. But at the time, we're young, didn't seem like that big a deal because I mean, we lived our whole relationship incredibly publicly on this message board and stuff. Like, we were posting photos of ourselves, like all these people on the message board because we were like two of the most outspoken and most well-known people on the message board. They're all looking at us and like observing the whole thing. So then when we finally broke up, everybody's asking me like, what happened? Did she cheat on she did cheat on me, and that's why we broke up. But then and not just cheat on me, but like I flew her out. She was staying with me, and then she went and fucked this dude in a band that I knew or whatever. And she admits to all that in the emails that I already posted, I think. But yeah, like she never, to my knowledge, ever said I did anything inappropriate in terms of this abuse, rape, whatever. You would think that when she was mad at me originally, that she would have came out and said, "Oh, Adam did this, Adam did that," and that would have been a whole big thing. But she never said that because I think she didn't realize until much later that like, oh, if I want to get him out the game, I got to say some shit about rape and abuse and shit.
All right, and then I think part of it too, from like I've heard people, which by the way, you never realize how big you are till like you see how much bullshit travels. So I heard people talking about shit. I'm like, wait, who are you talking about? Adam? And they were like, yeah, the guy who runs No Jumper. And they were pretty much talking about the allegation, or at least brushing over it. And when people then see it, right, they're like, okay, let's figure out who this guy is. They go to your Twitter, they go to your YouTube, and they're like, whoa! They see sexual explicit stuff with your girl. They see you being very open about sex in general. And some of them, they're more inclined to believe it because of that. Is it right? No, but they are. Does it make you think, I got to tone this shit down?
It kind of scares me now because, like, I have a vlog that my friend filmed to me the other day, and now I'm, like, second-guessing, like, all the different little things in it. Like, there's a part in it where my girl says, oh, Adam said I'm not allowed to get tattoos. And I'm like, yeah, no tattoos, blah, 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 because, it's not actually like I'm in the kind of relationship where I would tell my girlfriend she's not allowed to get tattoos.
Yeah.
I told her when we started dating, I'm like, I really don't think you should do it. Like, don't try to be like me. You don't want to look like me. You're a pretty girl. You got a nice body. Don't get tattoos. So, like, she's joking around about it like that. But then, I'm thinking, like, are people going to take this clip and put it on Twitter and try to look at the relationship that Adam is in where he's bossing his girl around, telling her what she's allowed to do? Because, this shit has been hard on my girl. Like, she's got a lot of these feminist chicks, like, turning on her, acting like she's dating a monster or some shit, bro.
Yeah, have you then gone back and probably said, like, either privatized videos or deleted videos, or be like, yo, listen, you know what? Some of the content I used to put out before, I mean, I had no problem with it, but now people are looking at me in this aspect. Let me just take this down because I don't want to not only give more, like, food to the fire, but I don't want people to then try to misrepresent me with some other shit that is not intended to be anything like what they're going to be trying to frame it in.
No, exactly. I put a few things on private and stuff, but, for the most part, it's like I got to kind of, like this, I didn't know how extreme it was going to be in the sense that I didn't know people were going to be making up shit about rape and all this crap. But I did kind of know that there was something coming, God damn, all my homies trying to call me, even though I got Do Not Disturb on it. It's still, they're coming through.
Yeah. That's just a bitch.
Whatever. But, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. It's just kind of, because even like a couple years ago, bro, I had like 100,000 subscribers and I was making these silly little vlogs, going out and partying, stuff like that. Me and my girl, like, we used to do coke, and like we don't do that shit anymore. Like, I've been off all that stuff, coke, Zans, for like 4 months or some shit like that. But I mean, like, there's videos where you can straight up see my friends doing coke in the background, where you can see people talking crazy shit about drugs, all this kind of stuff. That if you look at that from the perspective of, oh, this is some BMX kid who's like trying to make videos and get views and shit like that, doesn't seem like that big a deal. But then you take it in the perspective of, oh, this is a guy who got a label deal with Atlantic. It's pretty easy to like look at that and be like, yo, look at all this evidence of fucked up shit. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I am the person I am. Like, I've been honest, writing about my life on the internet, writing about and then vlogging since I was a fucking kid. Like, I grew up on the internet. I was writing about my life when I was 14 on the internet, when I was a little kid. Like, so the fact that like people are trying to take these things and then tear down all the stuff that I've built at 34 does it surprise me? Not really, but it also does. It's not really going to change how I act that much because I'm the kind of person like if people want to try to take me out the game, like what are you going to take me out the game doing? Like I make money off doing YouTube, off streaming, and off selling clothes. That's basically it. So it's like you can't like you could hit up Atlantic all fucking day, and Atlantic they're doing their due diligence to try to make sure they're doing the right thing and everything. But when they went to sign me, I told them I'm like I'm a lot closer to a rapper than an executive because a lot of the stuff that I've written about online, whether it was credit card fraud or drug trafficking and all this shit that I used to do when I was a kid, it's like that's the kind of stuff that if you were just an employee at Atlantic, they would get your ass out of there. Not to mention all the shit that they're trying to say about me now, they would have got my ass out of there right back then. I'm a lot closer to like the rapper type role where it's like I'm a story. My life is a story about somebody who came from not doing the right things in terms of crime stuff like that. Like I'm by no means am I saying that I ever done anything sexually that was inappropriate or anything. I want to make it sure that I'm not saying that.
But you never raped nobody.
Hell the fuck no, bro. I can't even imagine what kind of mentality it would take to be that kind of person. And like, and that's what's weird for my girl too, is she got all these people trying to tell her I'm a monster. I never even yelled at her. Like I never, if you ask the girls I've been in real relationships with and stuff, I'm never like, I'm not even the type to like be screaming at a girl to yell at her when I got a problem with her or anything like that. I'm more the type to walk the fuck away before I get bent out of shape like that,
Have you ever fucked any chick that's underage ever? Not even this chick, anyone.
I mean, not that I know of, although now at this point I'm kind of like, damn, did like something happen way back in the day and maybe like they're going to come out of the woodwork. Oh, yeah, and I got to say, too, that like in some of those super old blog posts, I was like 19 and I was like acknowledging like, yeah, I hooked up with a girl who was 17. And I didn't think it was a big deal at the time because this is like 2004 or some shit. This is like 14 years ago. I didn't know that was bad yet. Nobody told me.
Yeah.
So... I got to deal with that too. That's like the thing is that like, yeah, I acknowledge doing things at the time that now they get people the fuck out of here over shit like that. But I mean, I've been writing about my life honestly since I was a little kid on the internet. So it's like I can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, everything is all squeaky and clean and shit. I was talking about real shit back then, even if now I wish people couldn't read that shit, but some people saved it.
Somebody said they were like, yo, yeah. And again, it's obviously somebody that doesn't like it. They're like, yo, we all knew this. And I don't know how true this was. They didn't have a link. But they were like, yo, Adam talked about or joked about smashing underage chicks in his vlogs, like, way back. That's true or no?
No. We might have joked around about it because, like when you go on tour with Lil Pump, it's like there's a lot of girls coming through and stuff. And probably the majority of them, like you can't bring them back to the hotel. You can't have them around. You got to be super careful because they're fucking underage and shit. If they want to hang out with Lil Pump on tour, and this is like early Lil Pump, and so we were like, there's even like a video clip of us that's getting passed around that's trying to make it look like we are like into, like they take this shit and put it out of context. They're trying to make it look like we're into underage girls when in reality we were talking about how important it is to ID girls because of the fact that they be lying on their age so much.
Yeah, so you ain't Lil Pump ain't run no threesome on no 16-year-old, right?
Nah. I mean, I seen Lil Pump get it in with grown ass women though. Not get it in, but I seen stuff,
Yeah, but anyway, and I guess this is the part that in this day and age of just allegations and the witch hunt, nobody really cares about. But clearly, if this woman now is making these allegations, she could go to the police. And she could have an investigation started up. Is there an investigation going on? Is there a possibility you might get in legal trouble for those things or what she's alleging?
I mean, I can't. She herself said in a statement that I saw that she's not trying to do a criminal case or some shit like that, which of course she's not because she's talking about something that happened 10 or 11 years ago, a short relationship of a few months. Really, we only spent a couple weeks together at one point in Vancouver, and then she came to visit me in New York. I mean, there wasn't anything inappropriate about that relationship. There's tons of people who saw us together during that time. There's all this conversation via email and everything that indicates nothing that was done wrong. I don't understand what kind of case that would be or why the cops would be interested in it. And it's not that I don't have sympathy for girls who are raped, because a lot of girls who are raped, even if it's a week later, what are they really going to show the cops to get the cops to be like, oh yeah, we have a case here? I mean, it's not easy to form a case for a rape accusation, because most of the time this is stuff that happens behind closed doors and shit like that. So I have the utmost sympathy for women who actually have gone through this. But the thing is that she doesn't have a fucking leg to stand on, because we never, there was never anything that would indicate that. I mean, I could ask. I mean, I don't even know what I should say, but I have all my roommates that I used to live with that hung out with her, that saw that we had a happy relationship when we were hanging out and stuff. It's like the idea that the cops would have any interest in it. I'm not worried about that, because it just seems absurd.
Okay, and do you think that any other women have like similar stories? Because what happens is nowadays where there becomes smoke, all of a sudden it goes from one to your Ian Connor or Bill Cosby. You get me? Like, exactly. They jump out the window.
Listen, I mean, I swear on my life, bro, I've never.
And by the way, before you answer this, have you ever like slipped a Molly to a chick that she might be like, oh, I didn't really remember shit? Any chick that might be like, you drugged them.
Never put anything in a drink, nothing like that. Never in a million years. But I will say though, like, I seen a girl being like, oh, I hung out with Adam22 and his friends one time, and they were trying to give me booze and coke. It's like, yeah, we were drinking booze and we were doing coke. Why the fuck would I not offer you some? I mean, the stuff like that, because a lot of girls, like, even if nothing bad happened with you, it's like they just don't like you, so they want to be part of this when they're trying to get you out of there.
Yeah, nah, I completely know. Trust me, I know.
So I mean,
yo, there's a girl from my college, man. I used to feed that chick sangria like water. I was like, Jesus, bro. I used to feed her sangria like water, and then now, like, honestly, I hate to just say someone's mad at your success. I honestly think she doesn't like what I probably represent. Like, she doesn't like that type of music or whatever, and you know what I mean, like. These days on social media, they hold people like me and you up, and you're like the fucking devil. Like, just because of the music you like, the music you promote, just because of what they feel you represent, you're now a super bad person who's not human. It's kind of like somebody hating you over your political belief. It's like you're not even human anymore. You're just this evil person that we need to prove to everybody else why you're evil with then personal things. So I know about that, but you don't foresee like a bunch of more people coming out, because BuzzFeed will find all these motherfuckers, man. That's what they do. Oh, yeah. They will find all of them.
I've seen people like asking for women to come forward, like, who's got stories about this guy, blah blah blah. So I know for a fact that there's an article coming in the near future that's going to basically take this one girl's allegation, plus they're going to tack on whatever else they can get anybody else on earth to say. Plus, they're going to go through the podcast. They're going to watch every episode. They're going to go through whatever. They're going to find clips of all kinds of shit. And then they're going to put it all together into this big thing and try to be like, oh, Adam22 did this and did that. And what sucks is that some people are going to fall for it, that people are going to actually see that shit and actually think that, like, that's indicative of who I am as a person. Like, you take a bunch of false accusations and then you tack on the stuff that we actually talk about on the podcast. Like, that's why I was always kind of blew my mind, is because I would have, meetings with record labels or like people who wanted me to like host TV shows and shit. And I'm thinking like, yo, like, do they not realize that on my podcast, we're talking about, getting our asses eaten and, fucking groupies and all this kind of shit. It's like, I don't have a brand safe image. The shit that comes out of my mouth ain't brand safe, and I'm not really worried about that. But, I mean, yeah, they're definitely going to try to make me look bad as fuck. And it sucks because it's just like a rallying cry for people that already didn't like you. But, I mean, at the end of the day, what can you do?
Do you kind of regret even, like, taking a label deal? Because, like, honestly, if you ain't had a label deal, if you ain't had a song out, if you weren't announcing that, hey, you know what? I'm about to interrupt these places that you no longer could just ignore me because I'm niche. If you weren't that, they wouldn't care. Right? Like, so do you kind of almost like, yo, maybe I shouldn't have did this now. Or maybe if I did this, maybe my name and my brand shouldn't be the thing that's the face of it.
I kind of like that kind of stuff went through my head in the sense that like, oh, when I announced this Atlantic deal, people are going to come and find every stupid thing I wrote when I was 19 and they're going to take it and they're going to try to spin it. They're going to make it work for them. I knew that was going to happen. But the truth is that I got to get through this. I got to like get through that initial burst of a bunch of people lying on you, plus including all the stuff that I actually talked about. Like, you got to fucking get all that stuff out of the way if you're really going to make it in the game. Like, my homie TK He's like a super mega OG, and he was like, bro, the problem with you is that your career has just been up, 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 and you haven't had it down. There's never been a rallying cry for the people who hate you, and now they've found it, and they don't even know that they're being duped by a girl who's jugging, you know?
Yes. Again, everybody, I'll keep saying it. If you get successful enough, they'll come for you too. And it's about how they come for you, because sometimes they'll come for you like, and I don't want to compare you guys' situations, but I mean, there was a little bit funny things that happened with like Ian Connor. Like, there might have been some women that had completely a right case and they were completely right, but some of them got exposed to be lying. And you know, I mean, it was like 50 chicks. And I remember me and him, we spoke recently, and he said, yo, they really tried to get me out of here like a couple of years ago. Like with you now, this is the first one for you, ain't it?
Yeah, and I was saying that the other day. I'm like, you know, this only feels like a big deal because it's the first time it's happened to me, like on this scale, you know. But I was telling my girl too. I'm like, could you imagine what it would be like to be like really famous, to be like a Kardashian or some shit? This kind of shit happens all the time, you know.
Yo, have you seen like your audience start to like flip, like, yo, whoa, this is not the guy who, or them be like, you know what? Truth be told, we believe this shit. You get me?
Nah, I think that's part of what pisses off the people accusing me, is that my audience feels like they know me so well because I live so openly in my vlogs, in my podcasts, whatever, that they are like, nah, like we know Adam, like we know what he's like in a relationship because they've been watching me for years and years and years, being so open about my relationships and everything like that. Like, yo, my girl is a feminist. Like my girl, she does not like this position that she's in, but she's never even seen a tiny little droplet of the kind of aggression that you would need to have to be a fucking rapist, bro. So from my perspective, it's like there's a lot of people who are just mad and like using this as a rallying cry. And what sucks though is that a lot of my fans are probably gonna like take this information and then they're gonna look at every girl who says she's raped for years to come, and they're gonna doubt their claims. And I don't like being part of that. You know, like it's almost tempting to point to like some of our friends who have dealt with accusations and stuff, but I mean those accusations have a lot more legs than the stuff that's being said about me. The stuff that's being said about me is 10 plus years old and has absolutely no basis. Like we know people who have cases, you know, like shout out to Tekashi. Like in Tekashi's case, like he did something fucked up. I believe it was a mistake. I'll take his word for that. But then, you know, it's like he's got to deal with it. He's got to deal with people saying all this crazy shit about him, even though, you know, it did happen and he had a case and he could talk about it and say I was a mistake. And like, you know, some people will give him the benefit of the doubt now. But I mean, that's a completely different scenario.
No, hold on. That's actually a good analogy. It's not the same as yours, but it's a good analogy, right? Like in his case, by the way, Tekashi is regarded by everyone who don't like him as a pedophile, right?
Because it's easy. It's easy for them to say that. They don't hate him because of that shit. They hate him because it looks weird.
No. But wait though, right? If you look at what the actual case and what he actually did. Yeah, he recorded a viral video of him and a young woman who was underage. She was 13. She was exposed. That is a crime, right? Yeah. Did he rape or penetrate a chick? No, he did not, right?
But now, people love those oversimplifications.
You're right. So in your case, right, it's much easier to say, I don't want to hear that he talked to her at 16. He fucked her at 16. We don't want to hear that you fucked her at 19. We want to hear you fucked her at 16. Do you feel like you're going to have to be defending that for the rest of your career? Or do you think you're almost nearing the point where you're like, you know what? If that's what you believe, fuck it. I'm done defending myself. There's enough evidence. I see your fans constantly tweeting out a video response where you clearly break it down. And, of course, someone who doesn't like you, they don't give a fuck about what you really say. Right? Exactly. they care about their truth. Do you feel like you're getting to that point or getting closer to say, you know what? I've tried enough to try to get you guys to understand. At this point, only a hater or someone who doesn't like me won't try to hear what I'm saying.
I mean, you know what? Honestly, it's like the first 5 days that people were saying this shit. Like my Atlantic deal got announced last Monday. And then Tuesday was when people really started going hard trying to come out and get me and everything, you know? And so I honestly spent maybe.
Do you know where this is coming from? Is it come from like a group or just like random people on Twitter?
You know, there's just like random people who are just running around trying to get retweets by talking shit. But then at a certain point, they start forming together and they start talking to people and trying to like take different pieces and put it all together. You know, it's like a fun little game for them, and I kind of understand because like you know the same way that we clown on people on Twitter once in a while and stuff. It's like I get it. It's just they're dealing with something that's way more serious, and but in their mind, it's like we don't like him. He's a scumbag. Who gives a fuck if all this shit is fake or if a lot of it is fake? We're trying to get him out of here. That's the fucking game, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was saying is like I spent like the first 5 days, 4 or 5 days, bro, like having that many people call you a rapist. I was just sitting on the couch, just like, oh my god, like this.
Yeah, I saw, and you know what though, you're someone who's like active on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie, I've been less active on Twitter as time goes on because I do realize that number one, a large majority of that Twitter audience, even though my fans and my audience are there too, like when they want to get behind, it's the place where everyone with a pitchfork unites.
Mm-hmm.
His turn. We're getting him the fuck out of here. Instagram, not so much, right? But on Twitter, they somehow have a town hall meeting and they said, "Yo, we're getting Adam22 the fuck out of here this week, man."
Yeah.
And you know what they're saying? If you don't get dropped by Atlantic in 2 weeks, we gotta then turn it up. Somebody else gotta come forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess you do really read like people getting at you and stuff like that because I can imagine that gets tiring, right?
Oh yeah, it gets tiring. But anyway, I was saying like the first 4 or 5 days, I was just sad. I was just like, man, like I can't believe they're calling me this shit. They're never gonna stop calling me this shit. Like, you know, it's a hard rap to beat. But then, you know, at a certain point, I just started to break out of that, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm going to treat this like everything else I've ever been through in my life. Since I was 14, 15 years old, I've been talking shit, being myself on the internet, talking about my life, talking about what I was going through. So guess what? My fans get to see me go through this. And like, you know, I'm not the kind of person, like they want you to shrivel up into a little ball, crawl up and just be like, oh no, like, you know, some people turned on me. People are calling me bad names. Bruh, I'm not the one. I'm going to fucking stand up here and I'm going to talk about what's real and I'm going to talk about who I actually am. And if people don't like it, if I get a bad image for a while or whatever, it's like I don't give a fuck because I never expected any of this shit in the first place. If Atlantic drops me, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and get a deal with another label.
Of course. And shit, I mean, I'm watching all this shit, and again, you're right. Like, yo, one thing I'll say about you, you're doing kind of what every lawyer would not advise you do. Every lawyer, PR person, they would tell you. They would tell you to, if you're gonna speak, hop on with a piece of paper and read slowly. Don't miss a comma or nothing. You're getting on here. You're speaking about it like you normally speak to your audience, and to be honest, it makes it feel like you're not lying.
Like I'm not lying. That's the whole thing about it is that I don't have anything to hide. And I just realized, like, if I shrivel up and I stop talking on Twitter, and
or you read a bland statement, one of those like, yeah, I fucked up, yo, this is what my lawyer prepared. I won't say nothing on social media until it blows over. You're fucking guilty.
That's what people do because they're guilty or because they are scared. And I'm not scared of these allegations because they don't have any fucking legs.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking about like your relationship. So since this has happened, have you had to be there for her more, or is she there more supporting you, or is it just a vice versa thing? Because I guess people are saying it could be pressuring to her to say, hey, you have a promising career ahead of you. Like, there's a lot of young women that look up to Lena and everything. Maybe she could be like, yo, you know what? I'm not fucking with this shit, man. I'm out. Or at least let me distance myself. Let me not speak about it. Let me not defend him. I saw she did put up a tweet saying, yo, just for the record, he has never raised his voice at me. He's not an abusive person to me. And you can imagine all these little feminist chicks, they're like, what the fuck? You supposed to be quiet. Don't co-sign him.
Yo, she posted that. I didn't tell her to post that, but then after that, I told her, I'm like, don't jump in this anymore. Like, you already made it clear how you feel. Like the thing about me and her, and that's like a big part I realized in this whole thing, is just how lucky I am to be in that relationship in the first place, because she is just like, she's a rider, you know, like she's not going to fucking take off on me. She doesn't give a fuck. She knows me, and she knows me better than anybody in the world probably at this point, besides my family and my friends, you know, so, or some of my friends. So Nah, I mean, we haven't had any kind of conversation that made me feel like she was going to dip out or anything like that. If anything, this just made me really want to like tighten up my circle. I got my girl, I got my homies, and then I got my family. And it's like, I really don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me besides that, because it's like, you can't really control all of these random people that you thought were your friends. Like, there was so many people on Twitter and stuff, not so many, but, you know, at least like a couple dozen or something that I seen them just fully like unfollow me. Some of them making statements about, oh, you know, I can't support anything, blah blah blah. Even telling
Oh
me to,
yeah, no. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it real with you, right? And again, I'm telling you as somebody who has been public enemy number one for whatever reason before, and it felt like a lot. It felt like it was a time that people thought, because you know, you see the snakes when people think, oh, he's about to be out of here. Let me just make it known that I ain't really fuck with him at all. Those people, I gotta keep it real with you. When this is past, those people you could never trust again. Trust me, I seen all the snakes in the grass when I was getting killed, and it was just two comedian niggas just making jokes, and I was like, oh word, y'all think I'm over? I'm finished? And then 3 months later, it was like, oh yeah, man, he's still out here, man. I always fuck with him. I'm like, come on, man, believe me, the snakes.
I know, and I remember, and a lot of those people, like, that's what's crazy about this is that I was feeling crazy pressure when X got called out for his case because I didn't say anything about it because I, you know, that's my friend, like, that's my little brother. Like, I really have like a connection with X that like goes past industry shit, music shit. Like, he's somebody I talk to about whatever. They were so mad that I would not condemn him, but at the end of the day, it's like, to me, if you're really friends with somebody, you're gonna at the very least not say anything publicly if you really fuck with somebody. So if people who came out and said they don't fuck with me, like literally like girls that I was partying with like 4 or 5 months ago, like doing drugs with them and like drinking and shit. Like I had girls that me and my girl hooked up with together,
Oh shit.
going hard, trying to call me out, like blah blah blah.
No, I disagree with you
You
on
know?
that. Like, I'm not saying like people who were hanging around with you, or even friends. I'm not saying they can't speak out. It's only time I believe they can speak out is if, all right, for example, if they see you on video really raping a chick, bruh, you know what I mean. But in a situation where it's really one side versus the other, and also if you know that person's character, if you are a friend. Not saying you have to fully be believing it or whatever, but you should at least understand what your friend is saying, because if you're a person like me who judges your friends off character, you wouldn't be friends with that person if that person was a scumbag or anything that they're being accused of. Yo, I'm seeing some comments about was that there was accusations that you choked the chick and threw her downstairs.
Ooh, let's talk about this. All right, so let's start off with the people saying I threw a girl downstairs. Basically, like I had this blog, right, and I was writing stuff, but then I started to get kind of burnt out. And at one point, I was like, you know, I had other people who were like, "Yo, like I got this crazy story about this drunk ass night I had, blah blah blah." And at one point, I let somebody post a guest blog on my blog that basically was like them telling some crazy story. And at one point in the story, I barely remember this shit, bro. This is like 12 years ago and shit. But at one point in that story, this guy talked about how he got into it with a girl and she ended up going down the stairs or whatever. I haven't read it in forever. But either way, like people keep screenshotting that shit and being like, oh, look at Adam wrote about this or whatever. It's like literally not even my words. I did not write that.
Okay,
So,
so that was not you.
and people, I mean, that's just another one that people are going crazy with. Like, there's people writing me off because of that. And like, they're never going to admit that they were wrong, that I didn't even write that shit.
And by the way, just real quick, because I see certain people like saying in my chat, and also like I clicked on a link and I seen a tweet from one of the guys here. I don't know who Connor Tripler is, but honestly, I'm going off your whole thread and I'm asking the guy, okay? I hate this thing of why do you give someone a platform? It's like saying, why don't we just like lynch this guy without even asking him to defend himself? It's like saying,
Yeah.
why do we even have a trial? Why don't we just like, oh, that's what happened? Let's kill him. I'm asking the guy the question. I'm not co-signing anything. I'm giving him a platform to, and by the way, he has his own platform, but I'm giving him my platform that I could objectively ask him everything you're saying. I'm going off your thread. And
Yeah.
and if you have these allegations that supposedly he's a bad guy and a monster that did that, you would want to talk to him and also talk to the victim. if the victim want to come up here, we could have that same conversation, and hopefully I'll be armed with the questions to ask her and try to challenge her. I'm trying to challenge Adam. I'm not just trying to set him up to say you're innocent. Let's go. You get
No,
me?
you're doing good because I was thinking that in my head. I was kind of like, God, I hope Ack isn't like trying to be funny or like trying to make light of this situation too much because that would be
No,
weird.
no,
Yeah.
no. I see the tweets, and again, I'm also, and that's why I didn't really even get into it via text with you because yeah, like let's discuss in an open platform, right? It's not no thing where like okay, we're both creators, let's try to fucking fudge it for the audience. No, like you're very transparent and honest with your audience, and I'm very transparent and honest with my audience. I would never bring you on here to be like, you know what? Let's just make sure the people believe you're innocent. And however this conversation goes, and however people will watch it, they might be like, you know what? Adam made sense. And some people might be like, you know what? I still have more questions about this. And maybe that could be addressed at a different time. And hopefully you guys can type in the chat. I can ask him now. But we have to, if we feel that somebody did something wrong, these public witch trials, we have to at least have that dialogue with a person. This whole don't give them a platform is completely wrong if you're killing them on each platform. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Let me see if I missed anything. Okay. So, did you finish explaining the whole thing about the throwing down the stairs? So it was not you; it was a guest blog.
That was the throwing down the stairs thing. I got another situation that I got to clear up too. Is that okay? Again, about 10, 11 years ago or whatever. There's a girl that I was like really good. I'm still really good friends with her. She's still like a very like close person to me and everything like that. But basically, like there was a night that we went out and we were doing a lot of. I'm not gonna say she was doing drugs because she told me that she wasn't. But you know, in general, like we were drinking a lot. Like she was definitely drinking and shit. And we ended up getting into it really fucking crazy. And I was off, bro. This is like when I first found out about doing coke and shit. So I was bugging, bro. And I grabbed her. Like she was screaming at me about some shit, and I grabbed her. And like you know, some people have taken that to make it, you know, I choked her or whatever. I grabbed her. My friend jumped on top of us right away and broke it up.
Wait, so was there a video of this?
No.
Okay, so this is the account of the people who probably witnessed it, and some of them are saying you choked her, and you're saying no, you didn't. You grabbed her.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say that I grabbed her.
Did you grab her by the throat?
I grabbed her, but the thing is that my friend broke it up. He jumped in between us so quick that like nothing could really happen. But I mean, I do have to take the L there. Like that was fucked up. Like I was fucked up, and so I acted in a way that I never really acted any other time in my life, where I actually just let myself snap and did something, you know, that is just outside of my character. And you know, I think it says a lot that she doesn't want that to be like she doesn't want that discussed because it's kind of weird for our friendship and stuff. Like she's about to be married and all this shit, and we still talk and stuff, and she knows I'm a good person. Like we've kind of been she dated like one of my best friends for like many years, right? So that was like what always like kept us in each other's lives and stuff, and why that one incident was able to like, you know, not become that big a deal and stuff. So I do have to take the L for that. That like that was like one time in my life that I really slipped up and did something violent. But at the same time, I mean, I didn't do any damage. I didn't hurt her. I didn't hit her. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of people want to take that little smidge of something that I've acknowledged that happened. And I don't want to call it a smidge. It was fucked up. Like, that was really bad. Like, I've never, you know, that was like a very rare occasion in my life. But then, you know, people want to take that and expound upon it and be like, oh, like, you know, he's abusive. He's got this history of abuse, blah, blah, blah. I get why they're doing that. I get what they're doing, but I mean, this, you know, it was a unique situation because I was fucked up on a whole different level, and you know, that's a big part of why I don't do drugs anymore, and why me and my girl kind of swore off all that shit because, you know, it's like I'm just not trying to get into situations that I'm not in control of anymore, and that's like kind of inherently what doing serious drugs does is it makes you start acting crazy. It makes you start doing shit that you wouldn't normally do, you know?
Yeah, well, if you stop like taking drugs, I'm not gonna lie, your skin look hella clear, bro. I don't know if it's the camera shit or like maybe the drugs. You know what I mean?
Nah.
You're not looking like Famous Dex out here, man. Like the mouth corners are clean. It's all good. Wait, okay, and to get to another issue, right?
A lot of people have been telling me that though because I stopped. I still smoke weed a little bit, but I probably smoke like 90% less weed than I used to. So I feel like that's why people keep saying like, "Yo, your skin looks crazy good and shit." I didn't know it was gonna change my face that much.
Yeah. Okay. So I see, and again, I'm not asking you to fucking lay out because it seems like this person had a whole expose, right? At least on
Mm.
his Twitter, right? I'm not asking you to lay out the defense for these other people who you're associated with, but according to what they're saying, they're like, oh, there's allegations against people. This is a group thing, so they're saying, hey, your friend was it Robisman? I don't know how to say his name.
When it comes to like
Uh, uh,
whatever they're going through and everything, I'm gonna choose just to not comment on that at all because obviously I can speak from my own experience and everything. But I mean, I don't believe that Roseman's the kind of guy that would ever do anything like that. But at the same time, I can't really be like sitting there and acting like I have some kind of insider knowledge of his shit. So I'm gonna do what I would appreciate other people doing about my situation, and I'm just gonna stand back and say like whatever, like that's gonna figure itself out. Like if he did something wrong, maybe it'll come to light, but it's not anything to do with me. So
okay, but you know people are gonna say, hey, you guys are very cool, and you may have been complicit. You may have sat back and allowed something to happen that was bad that you could have stopped, or you might have witnessed something that you're not gonna say now because you want to snitch on your guy or whatever. But just me asking you the question straight up, you, um, have you been a part of or seen your friends do some fucked up shit that you
no,
either A didn't stop or you kind of turn a blind eye to?
no, and I mean when they're talking about Roseman, it's like me and Roseman don't like hang out that much. Like we've done the podcast together a bunch of times, but I mean I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Like he got a girlfriend now and everything, so that's like a part of why we don't really hang out as much and stuff. He's off in his own little world. But I've never seen him do. He's like the most meek dude that I ever met. So like the idea of him doing anything violent to anybody, never mind in some kind of scenario like that, I can't wrap my head around it, and I got nothing. It's definitely something I wasn't accomplice to or anything like that.
Okay, and I guess I'm asking how you deal with these situations, right? So, like for example, I seen like one thing that says, "Oh, like which is a co-host of your podcast," and I could imagine since the podcast is of your brand that you're the CEO of, they're saying, "Well, your co-host tried to fly out underage girls, and he might be doing these things, whatever." Do you look at it like, you know what? Maybe I won't have him be the co-host anymore. I got to separate myself from him, especially in these times where I'm already being scrutinized and being painted as such. So if I'm around someone, even though they might be innocent too, and these might just be allegations, when it looks like birds of a feather flock together, if you get what I mean, I
Mm.
might just want to not have him on the podcast for a while, or at least separate myself, in whatever way.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. That's the whole thing about it is that me and him might podcast on average like every couple months together or something like that. It's not like a common
Yeah.
thing. It was for a while. Back a couple of years ago, we used to podcast together all the time. But nah, I mean, I think he in general is not trying to like put himself out there all crazy at this point and everything. But I do think that he's not trying to be on the podcast in general, so it's not really like even a conversation. I think he's trying to stay away from all this shit until whatever happens happens. If anything does happen to him.
Okay. So yeah, there's so much shit. Again, whoever this, and by the way, again, to be fair to where I'm getting most of this information, there's a guy on Twitter. Um, I don't want to throw out the word cloud chasing, nothing, but I want to be fair to where people could get more information on some of these accusations. Just that people aren't just thinking we're fucking like being selective in what I'm bringing up. His name is Connor Tripler. I don't know if he's a journalist. I don't know if he's just a regular person, but he's made it his business to definitely chronologically like curate allegations of you and your team. Do you know this guy?
Nah.
Is it somebody like you probably fucked up back in the day? You fucked this girl? I don't know. What? No?
I have no idea, and I don't even really like. I don't spend time like looking into the people that are talking down about me because I just don't really see. I've had like my friends of mine hit me up, be like, "Oh, we gotta fucking find this dude." I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't. It's not. If somebody's gonna say something about me, they're gonna say something about me. It's not some street shit. It's some Twitter shit. So I'm not gonna like go out there and overextend myself and try to get involved with anybody who's talking shit about me on a personal level. Like I'm just gonna. If shit's gonna come out, it's gonna come out. If he's gonna talk shit, it is what it is. It's not my business to be. It's not my business what people are talking about me saying.
And I hate doubling back, but that girl, right, Desiree. Um, have you? When's the last time you talked to her, and like, what was even the tone of the conversation? Just because, from what she was saying and what she's alleging, she's like, "Hey, it ruined my life. For 10 years, I've been dealing with PTSD and all that type of stuff." Which clearly, if she's speaking in that tone, she is probably upset at you. She probably is not on good accord with you, and probably have had no contact with you that was probably positive recently or at all ever since way back then.
The only time after all that, we had some emails and stuff after I wrote about it. And then there was another time that I seen her at a hardcore show. And I think I emailed her and was like, yo, I think I'm going to see you at this show, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, don't worry. Like, it's cool. And then I seen her and I said hi real quick. And that was it. Like, but that was 2011, maybe. So it's like multiple years after she originally, after we saw each other, like after we broke up and everything. But yeah, I mean, like we were cool and stuff. Like it wasn't a big deal for me and her to see each other at that point. It's like only much more recently that she's decided that apparently all these terrible things happened during the relationship that she wants to call me out for,
Okay. And then I see also that they're throwing up tweets, and I guess it's to further try to, like, just strengthen up the case or point that they're saying, hey, he likes underage chicks, right? So it's a tweet. I don't know if this is from your account because it's not verified in the screenshot I'm seeing. Just to be fair, it does say Adam22 on some shit, which I don't think that's your Twitter name anymore.
That was my old Twitter.
Yeah, but it says, if the catch me outside girl is 13, I'm 13. And it says, and then someone says, no, she isn't 13. She's like 16 or 17. She was 13 when the video first came out. And to that, you responded, if she's 16, I'm moving to Canada with her and starting a new life.
All right. So first off, shout out to Danielle because we're friends now. But
yes.
I believe literally yesterday was her 15th birthday. I just want to throw that out there. I did an interview with her and stuff, so we're actually cool now.
Wait, she's 15? Oh, yeah, I forgot. I forgot
she just turned 15.
By the way, she be dissing me, like, and that's one of the things I'm like.
She hates you. I forgot.
Oh, yeah, she hates me. But, she calls me the old head, and I was telling someone, I was like, yeah, 26 is like an old head to a 14-year-old.
You're only 26?
Yeah.
I thought you were like 28. Damn. All right. No, I mean, everybody's an old head to her. But, yeah, I mean, she cool. She invited me to her birthday yesterday and shit. I actually didn't end up making it. But, at the time, that was like me thinking that I could still get away with joking around in general. Because, like, when I said that, oh, she's 13, I'm 13, that's been kind of like a meme. Like, I don't know where that joke came from or whatever. Like, if he's 12, I'm 12, that kind of thing. I did say that I thought it was a funny joke because it was so obvious that, like, obviously you shouldn't sexualize a 13-year-old. I thought it was so clear that I was being sarcastic when I said that. And then I started getting responses right away, like, bro, take this down. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm not even going to, it's just this slow process through life where you, like, can't joke around about anything. Okay. Even in a case like that where to me it seems so obvious that I was joking.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Like, so I know you say, like, you're trying not to change the content, right? But just watching, like you're a guy who says a lot of funny things that are kind of meant to be trolling / serious. And by the way, I do believe this whole thing was orchestrated by Russ. Russ did this whole thing. Russ paid for this whole campaign, right? No, but like you're a guy, like, you joke around on Twitter, like you have some of the funniest tweets, and I don't know if you take a long time to think about them, but they're not meant to be taken as like tweets from WhiteHouse.gov. You get me?
Yeah, it's kind of treat me like a journalist now, where like a journalist usually like they aren't necessarily being super sarcastic all the time and stuff, and I'm like, you're holding me to this crazy ass standard now. Like, I'm a fucking BMX kid that just happened to make it in this rap shit. Like I was never under the impression that anybody was ever going to be like looking at the shit that I was saying and taking it seriously and getting mad at me because the stuff I was saying wasn't like.
Do you think it's fair though? Do you think it's fair? Because, and you know what? I ran into the same thing. You know why? After I did that interview with Tekashi, first of all, I'm a personality. I came up giving my opinion and reporting facts about whatever news story, right?
Right.
I'm not the guy who's fucking doing, like, investigative journalism. I mean, on certain things, like, if I could find some shit out dope, I can report it. But I'm not the guy who's doing these Jezebel pieces or anything like that, right?
Right, right.
And I gave a guy a platform to give his side. And again, I didn't say his side was right. I'm not co-signing people like, yo, this is the truth or whatever. And they killed me. They said, yo, you're now a journalist. And I start realizing most of the people saying it, they were looking at the platform and the reach I had more than what I was doing. I'm like, listen, I entertain people by being comedic. Really, that's how I built an audience. Not by really like, okay, I'm the best journalist. But now they say, well, we write an article, it hits this amount of people, and you write it, or you do a video, it reaches this amount of people. You have to be a journalist. So same with you, right? Hey, Adam, your platform's too big now. You can't just be the BMX kid that jokes around about whatever. Do you think that's fair if they now hold you to journalistic standards?
I mean, I think it's fair in the sense that they seem like they want to hold everybody to these intense standards once they start to be well known or successful. So I'm not like mad about the fact that people are mad at me and like holding me to different standards or whatever. I feel you on the Tekashi thing because it's like, you know, as soon as you put yourself in that position, all of a sudden you have to represent the opposition to him in a way that they're going to like ideally think is fair, which is like, it could be very, very tricky. You know, I think pissing people off in terms of this Twitter shit and everything is just this part of the game. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that it's not like I'm a person who has some like corporate ass job. Like, I do have the thing with Atlantic and everything, but I don't have, you know, you can't just like hit up some company and be like, drop him. You know, like Atlantic, yeah, like that's a situation. But you know, I don't know. I don't know if people want to get mad about me making jokes and stuff. It's like I get it, and I'll take it on the chin because I kind of know when I go out here and troll and say fucked up shit. I know that people are gonna fucking get offended and take that shit and like try to twist it in a million different ways, you know?
Yeah, I completely get you too.
Part of the game.
Yeah. So okay, so you're pretty much just taking it as part of the game. Do you have anything to say to like the detractors or critics or people who's not gonna believe you, or they're gonna look at this and be like, man, Adam, you a slimy scum who's just raping all these chicks. Like, no matter what you say.
Oh man.
Right. And also, do you have anything to say to the young woman who clearly, again, we could call it clout chasing. We could say, oh, she's whatever, just trying to be vindictive because you publicized a story about you and her years ago. But if you could say anything to those people who you know just won't like you, what would you say?
I mean, you know, that's what I really hate about this whole situation is that it kind of puts me in the position where I kind of need to be like a detractor to the Me Too movement, which is not something I've ever wanted to be because obviously when I read like a story about a girl saying that she was harassed or assaulted or whatever, I'm in the position of typically giving them the benefit of the doubt too. Now, I'm probably not going to be the person going crazy on Twitter and calling people out and stuff like that, but I'm definitely like, you know, I'm not the kind of person that thinks that women tend to lie about this stuff all the time. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not some like alt-right guy that like, you know, wants like women to all die and that kind of shit. So, I mean, it hurts me to even have to be in this position where I might somehow be complicit in people taking women less seriously when they make claims about guys. But at the same time, you know, I can't sit here and act as if, you know, I can't crawl up into a ball and be like, oh yeah, like she's saying shit about me and she's a woman, so I guess I got to just deal with it. Hell no, I'm going to say that shit is bullshit. And I mean, that's what I did.
You know what though? And that's why I've been, you know what I mean? Like, I've been trying to figure out everything with the Me Too movement. And not only do I have a lot of sympathy for everyone who claim and asserts that they're a victim, but when I see people accused, I look at how they deal with it. And I remember, and again, I don't know if these guys are completely guilty, completely whatever, but I remember seeing Russell Simmons. I remember seeing a bunch of other people. It felt like it was the norm. When you get accused, you put out like a statement, or you just come out and say, hey, listen, you know what? It was years ago. We're both misremembering, that confuses me, right? Because it says, are you saying you didn't know that you did something wrong then, but now that she's letting you know now, you're admitting it? Or are you just saying, I ain't do nothing wrong, but I'm still trying to be respectful to the movement, right? So do you feel like, how hard is it threading that line as you were just speaking about?
I mean, the hard thing for me is to shut up on Twitter because I know that anything I say at this point is just going to be taken the wrong way and blah, blah, blah. Like, a lot of these people, and I respect it, but their attitude is basically, hashtag believe women. Like, they want you to believe every woman by default
You
when they
gotta
come out
respect
and say,
women, bro. Wait, hold
well,
on.
that's a point, too.
Let me ask you a question. So I guess the direct question of all that bullshit I just said is the chick who's now accusing you
Mm.
is do you look at her as a victim or as a liar? Because I just don't believe you could be both. You can't be a victim if you lied. You get me? You just lied. You lied, and now, if anything, I'm the victim because what you're saying is now putting me in a position of being either accused or I might lose opportunities because you're lying on me because you're no longer the victim. Now, if you really are the victim, you're the victim.
Right. I think that what she's doing is carrying out a personal vendetta by sort of weaponizing the Me Too movement, which is a pretty sinister thing to do. It's really unfortunate that, the movement is kind of being hijacked by people who want to use it for their own personal vendettas. But, I mean, I'm not going to let that stop me from generally giving women the benefit of the doubt and being sympathetic to the things women go through. Like anybody, like we're both in the music business or whatever. I'm sure you've seen the ways that, women don't get a fair shake or don't get, the opportunities that they deserve and are sometimes, talked to in a way that's not appropriate by guys in the business and everything like that. And I mean, I've always wanted to be the opposite of that now with my company in the sense that I want to interview lots of young and up and coming female rappers. My main number one employee at No Jumper is a woman, and I believe that
Lena?
this girl,
Oh.
Kimberly.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Someone also said that you had an intern that was like 16 and you were like grooming her to fuck. You get me?
So funny.
Again, you see,
Shout out,
people are now
shout out
connecting
to
every
Joyce.
dot.
Shout out to Joyce. Joyce is just like she's an Instagram personality and stuff, and she hit me up a long time ago and was basically like, "Yo, I want to come through your store and whatever." I took one look at her page. I was like, "Oh, this girl's definitely underage," but she just does these like cool photoshops and stuff. And she came through the store one time, and I was with my girlfriend, and she just hung out with us at the store for a couple hours with her friends as well. And they're cool as fuck, and they were just like, she's just like a smart young girl. I think she's 17, but she was just like, she's a Photoshop legend on Instagram, sort of. And I took a photo with her, and she like photoshopped it so it looked like I think I had two heads. And then we posted it, and I just wrote, "This is my new intern." It was kind of a troll because actually I think Lena like actually thought about really having her as her intern. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to hiring a female high school student to be an intern, but I mean that would probably it would take a certain level of care to make sure because my shop, like, you think about it, it's like you got a lot of grimy ass rappers coming through all the time. You got people smoking blunts all the time. Like, if I were to have anybody like underage working for us in any capacity, then that would probably be it's not the most professional environment for that kind of thing. But to people being like, "Oh, he's grooming her" or whatever, I don't
Red shirt in the pussy. Yo, this
I
is
don't.
crazy.
I don't think I've even seen her since then, or I might have seen her one time since then. But either way, it was the intern thing was kind of a troll.
Okay, well, listen, I do have an intern, so I was like, damn, my nigga Adam, he finally stepped his game up. I got an intern. Well, she just turned 21. I went to her little birthday party.
It's not the one I know.
Yeah, it's the one that you know.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, she's cool as
yes,
fuck. Yeah,
yeah. You know what I
sure,
mean?
yes, yeah.
Yo, low key, I thought you and Lena was trying to recruit her for a threesome. I gave her my blessing. You feel me? I gave
No,
her my
I
blessing.
mean, shit. She should reach out. I don't know. That would be interesting. But no, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Yeah. So and by the way, just because I don't want you never know you and this chick, even though she might not be your intern or whatever, shit goes sour. She exposes some DMs like, "Yo, Adam tried to fuck me." You didn't try, like, with these people who you're meeting and you know they're underage. You're not low key trying to fuck, and then if something don't happen, you take a selfie with them and just like,
No, no, no,
I
no,
be
no.
out.
Academics, I will send you my DMs with this girl in question right now. She hit me up. She didn't hit me up on some weird sexual shit. And actually, that's why I appreciate her in general, is because she's not like out here like pretending to be grown and shit. Like, there was another person, not me, but there was a person in the scene who was basically like on their Instagram live and saying she was hot or some shit. And she freaked out and was like, "Yo, Adam, tell him that I'm a fucking little girl. Like, I'm not, he shouldn't be talking about it like that." I'm like, I respect that she like faced up to that head on, because I can't necessarily blame this dude who was talking about her for thinking that she was probably of age, but she like she wanted that warning out there. She's not running around trying to pretend that she was of age or whatever. But again, she hung out in my store for like a couple hours one time. It's not like anything serious.
Okay, bet. All right. I'm gonna give my chat a second to like we've talked a long time. Shit, we try to cover a lot of bases. I don't want anyone to feel like we're intentionally leaving anything out. I see some people getting here late. We got about like 3,000 people in here. If you're asking about the story about quote unquote beating up black people, we addressed it. That was one of the first things we addressed. So
Yeah.
you guys would be able to watch this. You guys could figure out and hear his side. Again, from me, I'm not saying it's the truth, but you at least get to hear someone defend something when you're only seeing text or you're seeing a screenshot. And a screenshot, sometimes people feel like they don't even need a defense. But if you're one of those people, we can't help you. But if you want to hear the other side, this is where you could go and you could actually listen to it. So if you guys have any questions that I didn't ask, please get in the comment section. I'm pretty sure Mr. Connor is here too. Send a tweet. You feel me? Because
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel like I just softball the interview and I gave him the platform to lie, because I know that comes with it.
Nah,
So
I feel good honestly after this, because I feel like I just came out here. I like in the situation with the one girl like 10 years ago that I got into the altercation with. I was honest about that. I'm not proud of that, but I was honest about it. But then I also had to just say that some of the shit, particularly the rape allegations, that shit is just completely fictitious. It feels kind of good to just like throw it all out on the table and shit, because I mean, I got nothing to hide. Like I've always lived my life very, very publicly, and I'm not the kind of person who does things that I'm scared to come to light. Like any conversation I'm having, for the most part, is like it's okay if that's revealed to the world, because I am who I am.
okay, and obviously we only heard about Desiree, but just reading this one last thing here. Are there other people who claim you raped them?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so I'm hearing certain people say it, and I'm again reading from this guy who seems to be like the main detractor,
Mm.
Connor. We only heard one, and it's the Desiree, and we pretty much asked every question. He stated facts from his side. We can't do anything there. Yo, Adam, man, you're going through a trying time. Uh, Again, hold your head. Obviously, believe me, the worst is yet to come. I gotta let you know though. The worst is, I think you got a jolt of no, it's not all peaches and fucking cream when
Right.
when you've quote unquote made it. Now you're trying to enter the big boy leagues, and if you fucking stole a candy from a store, you better go back and pay that person. If you fucking tripped an old lady while she was crossing the the crosswalk, go ahead and turn yourself into a police station, because this is the time everything's gonna come forward, and even things that people just feel they were slighted. I will say, like me, there's not a lot of people who could say they know me, have been around me, or whatever. I'm very secluded. I'm very selective who I'm around, period, or
Hmm.
even who I give any type of energy to. But I know you're a socialite, man. There's a lot of people who come in and out of your life, in and out of your shop. And this probably is the time you might want to think of everybody you've slighted. Like, if you really haven't done anything that could be considered as such, and probably just reach out and be like, hey, listen, I just want to make sure you're all right, because those people, they're going to come out with a whole story.
Nah, yeah, I mean, hey, I'm ready for all the bullshit. People are gonna lie about me. People are gonna take little tiny things that happen and try to spin it out of context. It is what it is. I've accepted this. It's in my mind. It's like it's not the difference between like, oh, maybe I would get called out one day. It's like if I was gonna chase after this dream of doing the no jumper thing, I accepted that people were gonna not just make up stuff about me, but call me out for every fucking little thing I ever did back in the day. It's like I'm ready. I'm fucking ready to take all the criticism and stuff, because I know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing since I was a kid, 20 plus years of just being myself on the internet, and that comes with a lot of lumps, a lot of bruises. Like you got to if you're going to be honest, you got to fucking take it the whole way, man.
Exactly, yo. Adam, man, I want to thank you for coming on here, man. I want to continue this relationship where we could fuck with each other's platform. As I said, I look at you as an ally in our fight to get really an underrepresented portion of hip hop more light, trying to get young artists who might not be signed or might not be, they don't have the power, the money, the resources like a Drake. Just give them more attention. So, salute to you, and hopefully, you know what I mean, this doesn't break you. You don't look like you're fucking wilted or you're going to be broken at all. And honestly, tell TK what up, because that fucking verse is hard as shit, man. All right.
Yeah, I really appreciate you like just giving me an opportunity to talk. I thought about doing like an Instagram live or something like to talk about it, but I was like, it probably won't feel right unless I have somebody actually like asking me questions that I don't necessarily want to answer. I think you did a pretty good job, personally.
Hey, thank you, man. Listen, and also too, you know what I mean, as this continues, and listen, in an ideal world, everyone's like, you know what, we got the answers we needed. We'll take it and we'll feel whatever way, however it goes. But we do know more things will come up as this develops. Maybe another time we discuss it more. If not, we'll definitely be discussing music. All right, and business, and business. We got some business to discuss too. All right, my man. Yo, Adam.
You a real one.
Next time I come to LA, man, the No Jumper podcast, Akademiks. Hey, listen, yo, could I pop a Tekashi on there? Like, yo, this is gonna be the highest No Jumper ever.
Yo, he might really be right, bro. He got like 6 million views, and he only has to hit like 15 to have more than Birdman. I think he might be right.
Shit, it might do it. But when I come on No Jumper, man, I might have to diss like 30 niggas just to like surpass X. You know what I mean? I'm going to start writing down the list. I'm writing down the list. Vic Mensa is definitely getting it, though. But after him, I got 29 more on the list. Oh, D Savage, too. 28. Okay? Nah, I'm going to leave Wale alone. Okay.
Hey, I just got to give a shout-out to, like, you know, there's so much public hate that you see on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just got to shout out all the people reaching out to me behind the scenes who've been in the game for a long time, who know how this shit goes. Because I just had so many people, like, I had a lot of people expose themselves as being, like, my fake friends. But then I also had a lot of people expose themselves as being like really, really good friends by hitting me up and reaching out and showing that they understand where I'm coming from and shit like that. And hopefully this right here will just give my perspective, my side of the story, so that people will understand who I am and where I'm coming from.
And by the way, before you even go, like, this is where also your audience and fans, you got to thank them too. Because sometimes moments like this, and again, I haven't been in that exact situation, but I've been in a lot of situations where I felt like everybody hated me. And those one or two tweets from your audience who watches everything you do, and they know you more than someone who's just going off screenshots and just like using groupthink. Those one or two people who are actually defending your honor, or at least giving you a chance, like, hey, listen, he's not that bad. That really makes you. I remember. I can't remember what incident specifically, but I remember I saw like my audience one day defending me, and I felt the whole internet was killing me. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I think I teared up. Because I was like, yo, honestly, it felt like everybody just wanted to get rid of me, and honestly, I only saw like 5 people, but those 5 chat niggas was going hard, bro. I ain't gonna lie, they were going hard as a motherfucker. But
I mean, seeing 5 tweets an hour or like 10 tweets an hour about how bad of a piece of shit you are, it's like. It could be very, 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 you know, it'll get you into that state of mind where you think the whole world hates you. But this is my good thing is I get to go to my store every day, and there's all these kids out in front who want to meet me. I got all my friends there. I got all these rappers coming through. I did 3 interviews yesterday. It was very nice to get back into the groove of what I actually do.
Yo, could I do a meetup at your store, yo? I need a place to meet up when I come to LA, man. That would be dope.
Yeah, but you better bring Tekashi's people because you're going to need some protection. I can see people coming out of the woodwork.
They're banned from LA. I bring them, I might have problems. Okay? I bring them, I might have problems. Hey, yo, so are we done seeing all ass-eating videos online, man? I feel like you're probably retired from that. Are you checking out the game? No more sex tapes on Instagram or anything like that, or on Pornhub?
I mean, yo, I'm going to be real. Like, if it was up to me, I never would have had any kind of sexual clip out necessarily, like on Pornhub or anything like that. That's my girl. My girl got the private snap, and sometimes she needs to borrow a penis, so, you know, I'm here for it. So,
if she asks you, like, yo, I ain't going to lie, I do need to put up some stuff, like, would you indulge at this point, or you?
That is what I do. Like, I don't suggest like, oh, let's film some sexual shit so that we can put that on your private snap or whatever. It's like now and then she needs some content, so she'll be like, you know, and sometimes like when we go and hang out with other girls and stuff, it's the same thing with that too, where she, you know, that's basically like her tantalizing me, like, oh, we got to do some stuff for my snap, so I got this other girl, blah blah blah. You know, it's like I don't mind doing that stuff. For me personally, like
She's a content creator, man.
I'm not scared to show my ass, like, you know, figuratively, and I'm not scared to show my dick literally. So I mean, I guess that makes me a little bit of a different kind of entertainer.
Yeah, just for now, just tell her use a dildo at least until the next, like, it might take like 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months, the noise won't be that loud unless they find more chicks than Cosby, and then I don't know, man. At that point, you could probably come do the news with me.
Sometimes I feel like my my audience is a lot more worried and like kind of misreading my mood. Like I'm not sad, I'm not scared. I'm just kind of, you know, I feel strong. Like, yeah, I got people lying on me, but I had people talking shit about me and lying on me my whole fucking life. And I'm going to just keep fighting and just keep fighting. And if I can never get a corporate deal ever.
Be honest, though. Be honest, though. When it's that much, though, like, it gets you a little down. Like, I'm not
saying. But I've been doing this for a long time, Ak. I'm like almost 10 years older than you.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, it can get you down, especially when it's something new. Like, as soon as I started seeing the word rapist next to my name over and over, I was like, yo, I was hurt. Like, that sucked. But, I mean.
Because, honestly, once they put that in, they never take it off. It's like you could fucking, like, show the video, like, yo, I didn't even touch this person, and be like, so?
Yeah, they don't care.
Man. But anyway, man, yo, I really want to thank you for choosing this platform to come on and open up and really sit here. Like, you weren't like, all right, nah, let's not talk about that. Why do you even have a lawyer? Because I could imagine your lawyer probably like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Why even have a lawyer for all this?
I mean, I have a lawyer. Like, I have a business lawyer. This isn't like a criminal case or anything. And so it's like, you know, I haven't really had to worry about that side of things. I mean, sometimes my lawyer will be stressed out about me coming and just talking and being real and shit. But at the same time, it's like I told him, I'm like, I'm not the kind of client who's just gonna clam up in the face of a girl saying something. Like, I'm gonna fucking come out here and say my shit, tell the world how it really is. I'm not gonna act like I'm guilty, you know?
Yeah. I feel you on that. All right, man.
Maybe it'll be a bad idea long term, but I don't really give a fuck. I'm just gonna keep being myself, you know?
I get you, man. And I'll be in LA either next week, the week after, or the week after that. Next 3 weeks. I'm going to be in L.A. When we going to link up, you know, I don't smoke, but just have the bottle of Henny for me, and we going to do a hell of an interview. All right?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
And by the way, I also want to say to everybody watching, this is, and I know a lot of people, a lot of organizations, when they see someone going through fire, they run for the hills. And, again, that's the reason why, even though my company is an organization, I'm a person. I'm going to try to go in the house and see if there's somebody to save. And when I mean save, it's not like I'm saving people, but I'm not going to run from somebody. I feel like that's super foul. Like, okay, you're trying to, like, for example, and I want to call out the exact company. I seen a particular company, they do that with people who are going at shit, and everyone has a soapbox. They were like, oh, look what he did. Look what he did. Look what he did. And then the same company, 3 weeks later, there was a story that came out about another company, about that company that said, hey, their executives were doing even worse shit. You get me? Like, no one is perfect, and that's why when people say, why are you giving somebody a platform? Why are you talking to them? Why you ain't disassociating and run for the hills? Man, it's he said, she said, unless we got a video of like some NBA YoungBoy famous dick shit, okay? And even then, they say it's playing around. But Adam, yo, thank you for coming on, my man.
Much love, G.
We'll definitely link up in LA, all right, bro?
Keep cranking out those videos. I watch it every day.
I appreciate it, man.
Love you, bro.
Definitely. Oh, shit, no. Oh, damn. Whose number did I just give out? I probably just gave out somebody's number. Fuck. It's all good. Anyway. So what's going on with y'all, man? I've been seeing a lot of